So I had this book that my dad had. Pretty sure it's my dad. Let me look at the published date because here, where's the published date? Oh, couldn't have been my dad. Somebody gave it to me, and it's this book that's called "Now Is the Time:
Mm.
170 Ways to Seize the Moment."
Hmm.
So I open up the dust jacket, and it says, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living somebody else's life."
Yeah.
Steve Jobs.
It's a great quote.
Yeah. And then, "Why not go out on a limb? It is where the fruit is." Frank Scully.
Mm.
And so there's a lot of these little small, just kind of like, just little things. It's like,
Yeah.
now is the time to watch the sunrise. And then it says, to feel the real beauty and the power of the sun, rise before the first rays hit. Find the vantage point with a fine vista and wait. Sense the stillness. Watch as the sun etches out your world. Enjoy the warmth. Marvel at the miracle of renewal. Feel your problems subside. Maori proverb.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your resolutions, man? Are you pulling some inspiration here?
That was the first time I've apparently ever cracked open the book. So
That's good stuff, though.
I got exactly.
That'll
It
make you want
is.
to read
It is
more.
actually.
Yeah.
Oh, it totally is. And so I'm gonna, like, we talked last time, and it was just like, if I most of what I have are goals, and
Yeah.
I was just talking to somebody who I'm their career coach at the office.
Mm-hmm.
Go think it, like, somebody wants career advice from me. But and I told him, I'm like, here's what I've learned,
Here's what's
especially.
worked for me. That's all you can say.
Nope. Yeah, it's just like, well, I was just like, here is some advice that I've been given throughout the time, and this is one that you taught me, and it was about goal setting. And it's fine to have that one big goal, but it's the more achievable milestones to get to that are the more important ones. Those are the ones that you need to set, stick to, and keep at those, because then if you get through those and you check those off at the end, you will have reached your
Yeah.
that big goal that you had set.
It's like
And
Rosa says, how do you eat the whale, right?
exactly. So I was telling him, like, that's what you need to. And and his is a pretty realistic goal, hopefully for the year. I mean, he used his time very wisely on the lockdown, not only working on the project, but also, he got his lead GA, and then ultimately got his lead AP kind of all knocked out of the way.
Nice.
And since he's a more recent graduate, he's been kind of chipping away as best as we possibly can to get as creative as possible with his hours for NCARB.
Mm.
I can't remember what they're called now. They're not.
AXP.
Yeah, AXP. Yeah, and so we've tried to try to find as many opportunities as possible.
Oh, it's funny. I actually this year I took a different approach at the whole goal setting thing because I try to do it more often
Mhm.
than once a year, right? Like I don't just set it for once a year. But you know what I wrote this year instead of like typically I've got like a professional category and a personal category like that includes like health and all this stuff.
Mhm.
Um, nope, didn't do any of that. I wrote do the things that are fun so I can enjoy the life I've worked hard to create. It's like
Yeah.
I am always pushing so hard all the time. It's like and you got to enjoy it too, right? You just have to enjoy it too. And it's become what I've noticed in the last year for various reasons, and I'm not definitely not just talking about COVID because I think it's created a lot of amazing opportunities as well. Um, being working remote and all that kind of stuff. But it's like you can't push at that level all the time. And so what are you going to do about it, right? You got to do something about it. And that to me is where it's like, okay, now I'm just looking for more opportunities to say no to things that don't fit and also look for opportunities to say yes to things that help me deal, right? Like
Right. Right.
recharge, have fun. Like you've it's not like I'm not trying to say like, oh, I've made it right now. I'm just going to sit here and enjoy this. I'm not wired like that at all.
Right,
Uh,
right, right.
so, but I do want to look for more opportunities to have more experiences so that I can be even better at what I do and not have to feel like I'm studying all the time. Like there's definitely, you got to get out and move, right? Like your body was made to move, not just sit and stare at a screen all the time and make stuff in that way. So,
Right,
yeah,
right.
that's all I wrote.
I always jokingly say that my or every time that everybody's just like, well, so what are your goals this year? Mine are usually not die,
Stay living.
stay living.
But I mean, it's one of those things where these are definitely factors. Like even if it's not a reality, it's a mental factor that you're considering, right? So
Oh yeah,
I think also
yeah.
just, that quote, that Steve Jobs quote that you read in that book totally plays into what you just said, where somebody asks you what your goals are. And it's like, there are expectations upon you, right? What are your
Yeah.
goals? How are you going to achieve those? What are your measurable outcomes? And how are you going to measure against, what achievement? And that right there, I think, speaks to that living by somebody else's rules or living to somebody else's expectations rather than your own, because you feel that pressure, right? There definitely is that pressure. Like I honestly, like I wasn't planning on sharing this information at all. It sounds like kind of flippant, right? It's like have more
Mhm.
fun, but it's like,
Right.
but that was for me, right? Like that, I felt so good after I wrote that because I didn't feel like this immense pressure. Like I know what I'm capable of. I know I've got a track record. Like I can pull off a lot of stuff in a year, but
Right. Right.
I don't need anybody else to really know what that stuff is. And because then there is like this, there's definitely like that dichotomy of, do you tell people what you're working on so that there's some accountability to actually completing it, or do you not? And
I mean, the only accountability is you owe yourself.
yeah,
It's okay. I'm going to make these promises to myself. If I achieve them, then great. On to the next one. If I don't sit around and beat yourself up about it. It's just okay. Well, what can I do next time, kind
right,
of thing.
right.
Here's something that kind of actually sounds like kind of that thing is like, and again, out of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday's baggage becomes tomorrow's worries, imprisoning our minds and our hearts today. Now is the time, the best time, the only time to change your attitude and take that first step toward freedom from the cage of your own making. Yeah.
Totally.
That, yeah,
Regret is past tense decision making.
exactly. Exactly. And it is so funny. It's like, I don't know how many times, you've either had somebody ask you, or maybe you've even asked yourself, it's like, is there anything that you've done in your life that you regret? And my answer has always been no, because I wouldn't be where I am if I haven't done the things that I have done to lead me to this point. I mean, were there some dumb mistakes? Were there some dumb decisions? Sure there were, but
That's life.
if I didn't make them, I couldn't tell you not to do that. If like, you're looking for advice, it's like, okay, don't do this. Well, how do you know that? Well, I did it and it was a dumbass idea, and you know,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting, like raising teenagers who have really vocalized the need to, or not the need, but the desire to make their own mistakes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I actually am, living that right now with, my soon to be high school graduate, the middle one, that whereas, the oldest, he's doing his thing and he's just kind of like trying to go along, get along kind of thing. And this one's just like, I don't want anybody to tell me what to do. It's just like,
Mhm.
I have all these expectations that I'm supposed to do this and go to college and this, that, and the other. And, is that what I really want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Is that what you really want to do? I mean, I can't live your life for you.
Right.
I can just give you a bit of advice on like the pitfalls that got me to either my success or my failures, and just offer you a bit of advice, that little nugget of like, my moment was this that made me decide to do that and things like that. So I try to tell him, I'm like, look, man, this is the time when you should decide your own life, but take a little bit of advice from people who've experienced your path to maybe allow yourself to understand that the pitfalls that are out there.
Right. Yeah. Please stand on my shoulders.
Yeah.
So that you
Yeah.
can get farther.
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting in a professional career where people are working in isolation for the most part in a creative field that demands a lot of collaboration, right? It's like,
Right.
I've shared it before. I have concern for people who are not picking up the profession through osmosis, just by overhearing stuff.
Yeah.
Just by, because I put this video up on YouTube. I gave that talk, right? I think I told you about this the other day.
Yep.
And it was like, when the kid, man, I don't even know if I'm repeating myself now. I probably am. But, talking about, like, there's this video that I show in there about the rotary phone. Have we talked about this?
I mean, you've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's just, well, they get to the part where they're dialing the phone with it still hung up, right? And it's the parents, the mom especially, was like, lift the receiver. You hear a dial tone, don't you? And they have no freaking clue what a dial tone is. None.
Right.
But the mom thinks they do, right? And so I start to equate that back to architecture, right? Mm-hmm. There's so many times when I see somebody complain about somebody else and how they didn't deal with a problem the way that they would have, yet they do not have the embedded knowledge that person has.
Right, exactly.
And we are so bad at capturing knowledge and transferring it to other people. There's just kind of this assumption that it exists.
Right.
It's just intrinsic in everybody. Everybody knows this, right? It's like, well, no. I mean, you pick that stuff up along the way. That you put it out there by saying it one time. Somebody picked it up if they overheard it. If they didn't, like, it still doesn't count, right? So we're really bad at that. And you talking about kids and wanting them to stand on your shoulders and move forward, so that they can get farther than you did, progress. Mm-hmm. Same thing in our firm cultures, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I'm mentoring or career coaching someone, I mean, I'm not looking to say, okay, you should do this exactly the way Cormac did this throughout his career. I'm like, no.
Absolutely
Cormac
not.
Cormac has done all of this in his career to get to where he is. However, I want you to take the profession even further than I was able to do. And yeah, I'm going to help with your tool gathering, but how you use those tools and what you do with them and where you go with them and everything else, that's you. And, so your sensibilities of how you approach things are going to help you, I don't know, make the profession that much better. I mean, Ultimately, at the end of the day, we should be looking to improve the profession by passing down our knowledge and our experience, but just looking at that as a small tool in their toolbox that we can provide them.
Yeah.
That they can then add to and continue to grow.
Be that performance enhancing drug for others. Right?
I mean, well, so like today I was on a Zoom call with somebody who had just, he just celebrated his year anniversary of employment with ASG, but also postgraduate. He just graduated at the end of 2019. Mm-hmm. He had interned with us over the summer of 2019 and then came back and worked for us just at the beginning of 2020. So, of course, we know what happened and how long he had some institutional knowledge of the project come onto. And then 2020 had progressed. He started to kind of get assignments and learn some things and stuff. But then 2020 hit. Mm-hmm. And everything that came with 2020. I mean, one of the things that, I've talked about always kind of worrying about is losing that connection, the connection, that learning by osmosis that you're talking about, but just losing that connection of being able to, like, hey, overhear somebody, or just being able to walk up to them and say, how are you doing? Are you okay? Are you learning things? Are you understanding things? Are you feeling like you are, not just a cog in the machine? And then, all of these other things. So we started talking about that, but then I was, talking about, like, how are you challenging yourself to continue to grow and to continue to learn, especially in this very challenging environment. And, he's like, a day that goes by that I don't talk to somebody on the team, whether it's you or, this person or that person and stuff, and so I'm always talking to them. It's like, so, but are you getting the most out of that conversation? And I was just like, because the challenge is that, we don't have this osmosis. We have, now everything is very deliberate. It's just like, Evan, I want you to draw this. The reason I want you to draw this is this. And the reason that we do draw this is because of this. But that's just that seems formulaic.
Even beyond that, I feel like just the interactions that are happening are like scheduled, right? So not only are they start and stop time specific, but what we're going to talk about is pretty specific too, because we got to make the most of this time that we have, and
right.
it's for this purpose rather than those chance encounters. And I guess what I'm noticing is I don't see a lot of this. It's just people popping up for air and saying, "Hey, will you look at this and tell me what I'm doing right or wrong or whatever?"
Yeah. Right.
Because that person isn't sitting next to you, and you can't just pop your head up and tap them on the shoulder and say, "Hey," that is happening way less, if at all. And so that to me is a big problem potentially.
And with my role on the project, and that is my role in a way, is to make sure that people are understanding, not only like what they're supposed to be doing, but that they're doing it right. And just making sure that when we deliver this project, that we're delivering it the best that we possibly can, and making sure that we've coordinated it with all the right things. And whether it's the specs or the manufacturer or the owners have got their own prescriptive, standards and all these other things. But, these are obviously constant questions that everybody needs to keep asking themselves over and over and over again, and just making sure that, and normally that would be, let's just like, so, hey, you were working on this roof to roof ladder. I mean, let's talk about it. And then just kind of like walk through it and just see where they're at and all that other stuff. And so now things are very deliberate about it. I was like, okay, let's set a meeting for talking about roof to roof ladders. Yeah. It's just like, oh my God,
let's have a meeting for every component in the building.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's sort of the way that things have kind of been. We just have this like open item list, and then we have a meeting for practically every like issue on that open item list.
It's like you're doing triage because of all of the, a lot of that stuff just happens by people poking their head up. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That open item list would totally be just a casual conversation with somebody about, okay, you're working on this, how did you manage that? Oh, well, I did this. Oh, okay, good. That's good. I like where that's going. Or have you considered this? Or does that, my biggest question is just like, does that conform to your vision of the aesthetic?
Right.
And it's just like, well, I'm having trouble with this and it's really challenging. It's like, okay, well, let's walk through that and see if we can kind of get it back and reined into what the whole overall vision is. Because if you kind of make I kind of use the example, having a good grasp on the technical side of things, again, enhances your ability to design better, because you're not making those sacrifices in design based off of your limited understanding of whatever material or whatever product you're using. If you don't really understand how it goes together, you're stuck with whatever it is.
Right.
And when you get out there and you're like, that's not what I was hoping for. And then you're like, well, but that's what you got because you didn't understand what it was supposed to do.
Right. Right.
Totally.
Have you guys tried any kind of open mic kind of, just have a Zoom room open and people can pop in and pop out?
You talked about that, and I had pitched that to a couple of people, and I got a few like 2-word responses that I'm not sure I can share.
Right.
Over the airs, but it didn't seem as a favorable action as I was hoping. Some people were like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. That'd be great," and then others
people
were like,
who are more social by nature, maybe.
Yeah, and then there was a lot of people who just wanted to work, kind of solo. It's like, okay, just tell me what I need to do and let me go away.
Yeah, I could see that too. I mean, it's not like it would be more of an opt-in, right, than an opt-out. But
sure,
there's actually a few new companies kind of popping up around this and taking kind of the best of Zoom and Slack and trying to cram them into a new product where This one that I'm looking at right now is called Huddle, or the company's called Huddle. The product's called TeamFlow. If you look up teamflowhq.com, I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But it's basically, it kind of adds this spatial layer to meetings, and it doesn't make it like time-based either. So you can hang out in rooms. Like there's actually a 2D floor plan, and you can move yourself into rooms. And if there's somebody else in the room, you can talk to them. And if you move out of the room, you're talking to whoever's outside of the room. And it has like this proximity kind of mechanism to it, where if you get closer to somebody, it's louder. If you start moving away from them, it gets softer. So kind of like real life, when you're walking toward the coffee bar and you can start to pick up on the conversation, and you walk past it, it fades off into the distance. It's the same thing with this software. So what's also interesting about that, rather than just kind of compartmentalizing a group of people into a floor plan to kind of give you this spatial awareness, is that you can have different documents and whiteboards and things open in different rooms, and they're in those rooms. So if you leave the room for a couple days, but then you go back to it, that stuff is still there, just like a real room. So if you did do some kind of like, you could have like a schematic design room for this project, and you can have stuff on the whiteboard, and you can have images in there, and you could have a document open of like the things that you talked about, like a shared meeting notes kind of a thing. And that stuff isn't really in the software. It's just kind of linked to it from somewhere else. So if you have a Google Sheet or something, or you've got this whiteboard, you can save those out to wherever they actually live on your servers, which is cool. But it's nice because you can go back into that room and see that stuff that was there, and it remembers that. So in some ways, it's kind of built for this collaborative need that we're talking about right now, where, you could just be in a room that's private or semi-private, right? And like separate from the other people in your office, but it also gives people a way to, approach you and, kind of knock on the door more or less without scheduling a meeting, right? Without having to book a time in your calendar to find time to talk to you about something and make it so purposeful, because I think there is this layer of non-purposeful conversation where cool ideas come out of. Like we can't deny that happens. I think that it's just a natural part of the creative process. Is you overhear somebody talking about something and you chime in on it, right? There's so many examples of that kind of thing out in the world, where it's like this amazing invention happened because somebody overheard somebody else and added a bit of information that made it amazing. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'll put a link to that in the show notes, but I would be interested to see if other people are dealing with that kind of thing, or how they're dealing with that kind of thing, if they are or not.